Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy platform. Today is Mindset Monday. And, okay, I don't know what's been going on in the world today or this past week, but when I tell you guys and girls, I need this show. I need this show, right? So we have Marshall Stern. The show is titled, Meet the Buddha, Kill the Buddha, and it's there for a reason. It's the title of his book, but we want to talk about a joyful journey. Because when I tell you, Mr. Stern, I need a joyful and I need a journey. I need a joyful and a journey because so many things are going on right now because we know what's going on in the world and we may have personal things going on. I think we've lost our focus because in the past, we had the ability when things were going wrong or a little off kiltered, we had that little safe space, that safe place. Now, when you go to the safe place or space, it's driving you cuckoo.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know, tell us a little bit about yourself. And
Sure.
I know you do yoga.
No yoga.
I thought you did yoga.
No, I do meditation, not yoga.
Okay, because most people that I know when they do yoga, because I know you do meditation, we're going to talk about that. That calms me personally because I'm a type A person. I'm all over the place because I want to control everything. And yoga helps me in one way, but meditation calms my mind. Yoga is for my soul. Ooh, I got to write this down. I'm coming up with something smart. Yoga is for my soul and meditation is for my mind. So tell us a little bit about your journey with meditation and how did you get here and things like that.
Sure. Well, I started out many years ago when I was a youngster. I was actually totally against anything spiritual or anything like that. Just didn't make sense to me. I was a scientist. I was actually started out in pre-med, a zoologist, and if you couldn't see it or touch it, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Then one night, I was driving a friend home, and I was in Flushing, New York, which is where I grew up. And the friend said to me, "Oh, you're a New Yorker?"
You're Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where I was born. There you go. With kindred spirits already. So he was driving me. I was driving him home, and I'm in Flushing, and I'm looking down the road, and I could see Shea Stadium. And he said something to me about, this is a guy who had not finished his psychology degree, and he was delivering pizzas. And I said, then why don't you just finish your degree already? And he said, well, when God's ready for me to do it, I'll do it. And I used to make fun of this guy, but at that point I got angry. And I said, what a bunch of, and really got angry. And at that moment, I felt something hit me in my forehead right here. And it felt like my head opened up and I saw all of Flushing melt before me. And I saw what was underneath the ground. And it was like I saw the garden, the original garden. And that got my attention. So after that, I became involved in this kind of stuff. And that was many years ago. Right now, I have been teaching for the past 12 years now in Asia on cruise lines, teaching Buddhism. And I am a meditator. I have now I just passed the 750-day mark of consecutive meditation days. And it's phenomenal. It's wonderful. And I've done this during the pandemic, which I believe has driven everybody crazy. I mean, angry and impatient and just nuts, just nutty stuff. So because of that, my wife and I, we started the Joyful Living Academy. And what we're doing is we're trying to put out into the world things that allow people to be joyful, to be peaceful, to get through even tough times like this. You can be joyful. It's okay. So that's what we're doing. I'm doing free meditation seminars online every Wednesday. I've got one coming up this Wednesday.
What's the website? Where can they go?
They can go to Joyful Living Academy, joyfullivingacademy.podia.com. And that'll take you to our front page. And you can see a lot of things that we're doing there. We have courses, we have books, we have meditations. Some of the things are free and some are not. because we're also building a retreat center in Western Michigan.
So it's
And
just one second. Joyful
yeah,
Living Academy.
dot
Joyful
podia,
dot
dot podia,
Podia. Spell that.
Podia,
Okay.
podia.
Okay.
It's the plural of podium.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
right. So joyfullivingacademy.podia.com.
Okay. Got it. What I love about this, because coming from New York, you walk fast, you talk fast, you finish
Mm-hmm.
people's sentences, whether
That's
it's
right.
rude or not, because you think, come on, get it out. So I
Yeah.
moved to the South, and I was an enigma to them because they're like, oh my God. But what I've noticed lately is, because I meditate on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock, and I met a
Mm-hmm.
gentleman that he meditates. He was doing 11 days of meditation for 11 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and it calmed me because when I do it, I'm falling asleep where I'm snoring. And when
Mm-hmm.
I was going to meditation Saturday mornings, I would let my mind go. And I remember one of the my mates would tap me and wake me up because I was snoring. That's how relaxing it was. But I was snoring, and I was snoring, but I was basically irritating them because.
Right. Yes.
So, and it's so good to see a man talk about meditation and quieting the mind. What does meditation do for you?
Well, um, I can give you a little bit of that. If you want to know the whole thing, I'd suggest you or anybody who's interested come to the seminar on Wednesday. It's free, and if you go to my website, you'll see it right there. You can sign up for it. But just to give you a little bit of it, meditation. You were just talking before about being quiet and slowing down. You can't see things. We New Yorkers, especially, we know this. We live at such a fast pace. Everything's just going by, going by, going by. You can't see things like that. It's like, I went on a bullet train in China, and you look out the window, you can't see anything. Everything's going by in a blur. When the train stops, when it's quiet, then you can see everything in great detail. And that's a really good analogy for life. When we are moving, constantly going, constantly doing, constantly, we miss everything. When we learn to slow down and relax, we can then see everything in great detail. So it's really important for being aware and being present. In addition, the other thing that we develop is silence, the ability to be silent. Because deep within us, the quietest voice inside of us is the voice of wisdom. It's the voice of the universe. It's where all knowledge exists. And when we get quiet enough, we can hear that. So we develop silence and stillness. This way we're able to see so much more. And in the silence, we're able to hear so much more.
You know what? You're right. And because for me, being who I am, and now I'm finding out, the whole empath golden child thing within me, I do
Mm-hmm.
need, and when you're touching someone, if they have negative energy, so that was draining. So what I've noticed, my favorite place, and I can't believe I'm saying this, my favorite place on earth, if my husband is looking for me and he can't find me, he knows where I'm going to be. My favorite place on earth right now is the library, right?
Uh,
Because you're not supposed to be speaking loud, and I like to
yeah.
go in those rooms for isolation. I like to be by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an introvert extrovert. When I tell that to people, they're like, no way. I'm an introvert extrovert. Because of what I do, I like the quietness. And to
Right.
be honest, Mr. Stern, what I've noticed, I get a lot of my great ideas, or I find the answers when I'm at my quiet moment. That's
Yes.
what I'm seeing. The universe speaks to me. Zena mentioned some people are afraid. That's true. Some people are afraid of silence. Why do
Oh,
you think
yeah.
people are afraid? Why do you think people are afraid of silence?
Okay. So we have two beings inside of us, basically. I'm saying this very quickly. It's more in depth than that. But basically, we have the ego and we have our true self, our true, what we call in Buddhism, we call our Buddha nature, but the true divine self, as opposed to the ego. The ego is what we believe ourselves to be. It consists of our name. Yeah, let me blow your mind, Dave. What is your name?
Jackie.
No.
What's my name? What's
You
my
don't
name?
have a name. You don't have a name. When you were born, what was your name?
I didn't have one when I was first
That's
born.
right. That's right. None of us do.
So we're
We're,
conditioned. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
we're given a name, and after hearing it many, many, many times, we say, okay, that's who I am. And after a while, we are attached to that name. So if I hear somebody say, hey, that Marshall guy, he's a bad dude. If I hear that, I'm going to be upset because they're talking about me.
Ego.
Huh?
Ego.
Ego. Exactly. Exactly. And the same thing conversely. If somebody says, hey, Marshall, he's a great guy, I'm going to take that as a compliment. But I'm not Marshall. That name is not me. That's part of a construct. So that's the ego. We believe that's who we are. If we get quiet, if we get still, we begin to discover who and what we really are. And then that ego gets replaced. So the ego fights very hard to make sure that we don't get quiet and that we don't get still. And that translates into society as well. If you go into a doctor's waiting room nowadays, they've got, 14 TVs going and radios. And if I go in there, I like silence. So I might go up to the receptionist if I'm the only one in there and say, can we lower the TVs? I was kind of just, trying to enjoy myself here. And it will get a violent reaction to that. No. You've got somebody who sit in silence. What are you, crazy? In restaurants, they've got music going so loud, and in bars, you can't talk to each other. But that's kind of the way it is. So that's for people who don't meditate. Silence is very frightening.
What I've noticed, because I tell people I'm unplugged out of the matrix, right? Because I love the matrix. So one day it dawned on me, Jack, you need to unplug out of the matrix. So when you unplug out of the matrix, you're undoctrinated. You have to unlearn, relearn other things. And I realized I had a huge ego. And I was impatient, and it's, why are you late? It's all about me, 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 me. What I realized when I started to recondition and doing other things, it became less stressful, right?
Yeah.
And then I realized, then I started going to restaurants. I would go to restaurants by myself, and I would take a mirror, and they would ask me, well, how many people are here? How many people do you want at the table? And I'll say 2. So I sit at the table and I take out my compact mirror. I put it on the table, and I'm having a conversation with myself, because most people, and it drives them crazy. So eventually they realize that, wait a minute, she's not crazy, because most people, not only do they like silence, they don't like to be by themselves. They won't go to a movie by themselves. They need to have crowds of people. So the more I've learned that I like silence, the better it has become. Even when I'm exercising, I exercise with a group of women, but sometimes I don't say anything because I'm thinking in my head. And now, because of meditation, to be honest, I'm strongest after I do meditation. I've noticed that. And because I'm doing it every Saturday, I need to start doing it more. I'm strong. Right. I feel more attached to the earth and to people when I do meditate, whether it's guided, whether it's quietness. And meditation has led me into sound therapy, which I absolutely love, the binaural beats or whatever it is. I'm into that. So I'm into the metaphysical stuff that people would call it, but I'm doing it in order to survive in this crazy world.
Yeah. And you know what? Apart from surviving, we want to live. We want to live completely. We want to live what we really are. And the fact of the matter is, underneath all of that, there is peace, there is love, there is joy. When you get to that point where you can get beyond all the craziness and all the noise, what's left in there is actually a very joyful, lovely person. And generally, I find the people who meditate a lot are actually very funny.
Yes.
Because there's a joy. There's a joy in it. Everything you see has something beautiful, wonderful, and joyful in it.
And like
it's a great thing.
Zena wrote that everything has a label. And that's why I'm trying to, and you know, we keep saying it's a work in progress, but I'm trying to unlearn. I'm trying to be more patient because
Mhm.
ego is a killer. Ego is a
Mhm.
killer. And I don't think people understand that because it's not really about me. It's about serving the universe, you know,
Right.
because it's your pride and you want things a certain way and you don't want to apologize or whatever the case may be. But I've realized the moment I decided it's not about me, I'm here to help complete what's going on because well after I'm gone, this world is still going to be here. I want to enjoy as much as I can. Being unplugged out of the matrix, Mr. Stern, has taught me that no is a complete sentence. I can say no and not worry about, well, what is this one going to feel? You know, so
Mhm.
my question to you is for someone who's never meditated, how can they start this journey?
Mm. Well, they can come. Thank you. Thank you for setting that up for me, putting right on the
Yep,
tee.
yep.
This Wednesday, we're doing it is absolutely free. Doing a webinar, I will instruct people. I'll go from A to Z on what meditation is, why it's important. I'll cover the myths, and we'll actually even do a short 5-minute meditation. So I'll get you started. So I would suggest very strongly come to our page. Again, Joyful Living Academy .podia.com. And I'm sorry, I'm losing my thing here. Joyful Living Academy .podia.com, and sign up for the Wednesday webinar. It's only about an hour, and it is, we did it last week and people were just blown away by it. And I've been doing this for about 12 years now. And so I've taught thousands of people how to meditate. And the way that I teach, you can hear just from the way that I talk. It's very practical. It's very down to earth. There's no, it's actually called meditation for non-gurus. I don't teach people who are going to go sit in a diaper and sit on a mountaintop.
Oh man, man. Well, I consider you a different type of a guru because let me tell
Yeah.
you, your voice
Okay.
is so relaxing. Because
Hmm.
when I was telling people, look, I need this tonight. I need this. So because sometimes I hear stories and it's left with me. I
Hmm.
decided now that I'm going to do stories where if it's a little bit too hard for me, I need to go back and get stories like this,
Hmm.
educational pieces, because I think we have to go back to ground zero, so to speak.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to communicate with each other. And this thing right here is the devil. It's the devil. The devil. It's good and bad. It depends on how
Yeah.
you use it. But I
Yeah.
think because people are not communicating anymore, and sometimes when someone has this nervous energy or they're angry, I try to walk away because, I know they're off kiltered. And, why do you think the Western culture is not more open to all the holistic stuff? They're starting a little, but they're not
Mm.
open to all the holistic things that the Asian culture, or I would say Eastern culture, it has embraced.
Right. Unfortunately, the Eastern culture has embraced a great deal of the Western culture. I've worked over there for the last 12 years over in Asia. And unfortunately, they picked up a lot of our bad habits. So it's not so much over there as it was, unfortunately. I'd say there's actually a growth in acceptance of this in the West. There certainly has been a growth in Buddhism, of interest in Buddhism,
Mhm.
interest in meditating, interest in Eastern healing, in herbs and things like that as well. But again, our society is a very materialistic society. It's based on what you own. And if you've spent any time in some of these countries over in Asia, generally they're pretty poor.
Mhm.
Um, and
Wait. Are they poor? Wait a minute. Are they poor to our standards, or are they poor to their standards?
great question. That's exactly right. To their standards, they're not poor. To our standards, they're very poor. Yes. No, they're actually very rich because
Mhm.
they are their families are very, very together,
Mhm.
and people mean a lot to them over there. I think they have their values really straight on as opposed to what we have here. We're all very splintered and very, it's all about the money and it's all about what do I own and what have I got, this and that. And over there, it's not so much about that. Well, although there are people who do that.
Right.
Um, but but there's a tradition over there also of spiritual searching. Especially, I've spent a lot of time in India, and in India, you walk down the street and it's a modern street, but there's a cow on the street. There's a cow, and I'm looking at that like there's a cow, and everybody else is just kind of walking past it because it's a part of the deal. Cows are spiritual. That's the deal. So things that they take for granted have been part of their history for a very long time. We're still a very young country, the United States. Compared to the rest of the world, we're very young, and sometimes we act like it. So we need to grow up.
I think we do. Zena wrote, "Silence is bliss. However, certain societies deem it as a bad thing." I agree with that. And in Asia, they come from humble beginnings. I interviewed a gentleman, and his mentor was Warren Buffett of Japan, right? And his name is Ken Honda. And we were talking about money, and he talks about relationship with money, how because he has a book that's called Happy Money, but he was talking about how, you need to, he was all Zen like and meditates and does all of that. And here, this man, again, in this country, and he's a millionaire, but he's very humble. And he talks about the meditation and things we need to do. That's priority, because my name is not who I am. It's what I'm called, but it's not who I am.
Right.
So
Right.
so for me, I'm telling you, when I knew you were coming on, I'm like, ooh, I said, yes, I'm going to be stressless today. Okay. It's so good to, so your wife she's basically in alignment with what you're doing. She's doing this with you, meditating and things like that. Was that an easy sell for her, or?
Well, it's kind of the way that we courted. At the time I was in Nashville, I have background in entertainment. I'm the former director of the Players Workshop of Second City. So I've been doing improv comedy and acting for many years. And before that, I was a professional songwriter down in Nashville, Tennessee. So I won an award and I was sent to Chicago to study improv comedy. That's where I met my wife. She was doing a show down there. And so we became friends at first. And I spent a year in Nashville and she was in Chicago, and we would visit. But I would read her to sleep every night from a book by Thich Nhat Hanh called Old Path, White Clouds, which is this wonderful book about the life of the Buddha. And I would read her to sleep every night with that. And so we kind of bonded over that. And that was her first introduction to Buddhism. And she took to it immediately, like a duck to water. And so, yeah, it was not a hard sell with her at all.
So are you telling me when you guys went on dates, you actually went on meditation dates?
No. Although, no, we did actually we did a weekend at a monastery. So kind of.
And we have one in Georgia, and I've been meaning to go where, but it's the bare minimum. I don't know if you ever watched The Odd Couple, where there was an episode where Felix and Oscar went to the monastery. This monastery was just like that. It's a cot, and Lord knows what's on that cot. Meaning it's, you're going to wake up with backaches and everything. You help bake bread and everything. So I said, I want to do this. I want to spend my time just doing things that makes my soul just cry and say, thank you, Jackie, thank you. Yes, you want to travel, but I think now is the time, especially during what's going on and how many people have passed. I want to start feeding my soul. That's what I want to do. Things like that, feed my soul, help people, but more importantly, help myself. That's what I'm looking to do during, this awakening that I'm having.
Right. Well, we actually attended a 10-day Vipassana in Georgia, not in Atlanta. It was out in the hinterland somewhere, but that's a 10-day meditation period where you actually, for 10 days, you don't speak, and you spend about 12 hours a day in meditation.
See, that's what this place is in Covington or Conyers, and you would wake up, bake bread or whatever it is, but you cannot
Hmm.
speak. You're meditating. Maybe that place, and I said I'm gonna go because I need that. I need to recharge my battery because I'm
Mm.
constantly talking, the phone, and what I used to do. When I first arrived in Georgia, I created this thing. What it was a Sabbath, so I would not talk from Friday, sundown until
Mm.
Sunday. So even
Yeah.
if I worked like, go like the Jewish religion, I would leave, before sundown and I just wouldn't talk. I'd write things very rarely. My husband was okay with me doing it. I guess he didn't want me to talk anymore. But yes, he got tired of me
Right.
talking. And it was so good because then Sunday, when I do talk, because yeah, it was Friday to Saturday, and then Sunday morning, it was just so beautiful. I was so refreshed, and I would read.
Right.
I didn't spend time watching television. I would just read and do things like that. So I
Hmm.
think people need to do that. So, what advice would you give people right now with what's going on in the world, other than because they should attend they should attend your meditation on your site, and I'm going to put
Hmm.
it back up again. But there's some people out here because people are suffering from depression, they're suffering from
Hmm.
anxiety, and because
Yeah.
they may be the strong person or the one who always checking in on other people, what advice would you give them? Because it's such a it's your perspective. It's such a sad time right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. So many people are lost. One of the things I actually I feel a little guilty saying this, but my wife and I we really enjoyed the pandemic. we did we did nothing. We were inside. We really it's just a matter of being flexible.
Mhm,
People have a very hard time with change.
mhm,
Change is perhaps the most stressful thing that people go through. And I mean, I could teach you. It's something that people can do on their own. It's a mini meditation. It's called conscious breathing, and you can do this anywhere, whenever you feel yourself getting stressed. Generally, stress means you're either worrying about the future or feeling badly about the past.
mhm,
The future and the past do not exist. All that exists is right here and now. Somebody once asked the Buddha, "What is the difference between you and me?" This is just a regular layperson. They're asking the Buddha, this great master, "What's the difference between you and me?" And the Buddha's response was very simple but very profound. He said, "The difference between you and me is that when I breathe in, I know that I'm breathing in,"
mm.
which is beautiful. And because if you do that, if you breathe in and be aware of the breath, you are present. You are in the present moment. You have been transported to the present moment. So this thing that you can do anytime, this is for anybody, is just simply pay attention to your breath. On the in breath, mentally say in. On the out breath, mentally say out. Do as many breaths as you need to feel grounded. That'll bring you to a really good place. And if you have a regular meditation practice on top of that, it kind of supercharges it.
And I think that's what we need to. It would be great, like in some schools back in the day in the Asian culture, because I had a friend, he still lives out there, where, meditation was important, with the kids. It's
Mhm.
only when you come here, you don't even do PE anymore, take gym classes, but it's so important in the world that we're living. And I think if we slow down a bit, just a bit, what I've taken from my years and of recently within the last 6 months, I don't want to talk to you and I'm typing on the phone. I want
Mhm.
to be present. I don't want if, or I'm talking to someone and they're on, they're doing something else. I want your
Mhm.
undivided attention. I don't care if people want to call that selfish. I want your undivided attention. And sometimes
Yeah.
what I've noticed is, I put my phone down because I'm talking, or if I'm talking to someone, I have them on speaker, I move away from my phone. That's the only reason why I put them on speaker, because I'm going to check my email. I'm going to check my text. I don't want to do
Mhm.
that. So I'm learning now and I'm implementing it. I'm not perfect, but if I'm talking to you, I don't need to look at my phone. If I'm looking
Right.
away, it's because I'm typing something that you're saying. And I think like the future and the past does not exist, but I don't want to hear anything else. I want no disturbance. And I think in this country, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and I may get a lot of emails about this. I think being multitasking is disgusting. It's a sin. It's horrible. I'm going to put that on record. And we thrive like, oh, I can multitask. And that's not a compliment that you can multitask. Because if you can multitask and you're doing 10 different things, you're half budding doing 10 different things. You're not doing
Right.
anything at 100%. And that's what I want people, that's what I want you guys to understand. You're not doing anything at 100%. And I know you can surpass that and do things at 100%. What's wrong with completing one task, getting it done, then starting something else? Because you're
Right.
on that rabbit wheel, and I don't want to do this. I'm telling you, I'm unplugged. I took the S off my chest, Mr. Stern. I don't want to be Superwoman. I don't want to be Wonder Woman. Screw that. I don't want that title anymore. Y'all can keep it.
Hmm. Just be person. Put the P on your chest.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want any labels. I want, like Zena said, the interconnection, because I think we miss things when people are talking, because when you're on the phone with somebody, you constantly have to repeat yourself. It's because they're not focused. And then they get upset because you don't want to repeat. So I
Hmm.
shut down when that happens. I'm like, can you repeat that? And I can tell and I hear that they're typing. And I'm like, we'll talk later when you can focus.
Right.
'Cause that's what I'm
Right.
looking for. And right now we need to have that. Zena wrote, listening attentively is respectful, which is true.
Yes.
People no longer honor proper etiquette. Etiquette no longer exists anymore. What are you talking about? No one. So we talked about that. And where do you see yourself? I know today, tomorrow, where would you like? Okay, here's a better question.
Okay.
Biden reaches out to you from watching our program, obviously. Hello, President Biden. He reaches out to you and he says, you know what? Here's $3 million.
Yeah.
I want you to help people the best way you think you can help people with a nonprofit or whatever. What would be the first two things you'd implement?
I would complete my retreat center in Michigan. I have to create little cabins for people to stay in. And I would, that's it. That's what I would do. I don't know that I need $3 million. But let me just say something. You brought up President Biden. This is another example of people not being present. People don't appreciate President Biden. I have to tell you, I did not support him at first. And another, I've done a lot of things. I used to have a radio show in Chicago. It was this Zen-based political talk show. So I was very involved in politics. I used to work as an advisor to Marco Rubio in Florida
Mm.
as well. So I've been involved in that world. President Biden is a phenomenal president. I think he's like Harry Truman. Harry Truman was a phenomenal president. People didn't appreciate him while he was in there. I think his approval rating at the time he left office was somewhere in the 20s. It was abysmal. But as history has shown, he's a wonderful president. I think people should appreciate what we have, especially after the last 4 years we went through. That sounds like, oh, you're so partisan and everything, but it's not. It's paying attention to what's going on. To me, this whole thing about the ego and the self, that applies to people leading a nation as well. We have, is this person leading our nation? Is this
You did
about, oops,
good. You did
sorry.
good. Mhm.
I know, I'm sorry, my
That's
camera
okay.
fell.
Mhm.
Um, is this person leading our nation? Is this a person coming from their ego? Or is this a person who is in touch with something more divine? And to me, divine, when you talk about like, what do you do? What makes you happy? The most selfish thing you can do is to be kind and to be loving and to take care of others, help others. This is actually what we're here to do. We're here to be partners and to take care of each other. And see, that's what I see when I see Joe Biden. That's what he's trying to do as president. If you think about what he's done in terms of the vaccinations, in terms of the pandemic, in terms of everything he's tried to do, and it's been blocked every step of the way by people who are really not so invested in really caring for people.
Well, for me, if someone were to ask me, like, what would you do with $3 million? What I would do is, first of all, I would, because not everyone probably could get to your location. So, what I would want to do with
Hmm.
some of the money is implement something in all the school system regarding, getting holistic people in there to teach meditation, qigong,
Hmm.
and all that kind of stuff, quiet the mind. That's, and then, meditation and also yoga. Start off with that. And then if more money is
Hmm.
allotted, then we can do other things. But I want people to understand that in order to, you know, to be more effective, and this is just for me, meditation really works. Quiet time really works. The best part of the day that I love is three anywhere from 2 to 4 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes when I'm walking and I just look at God's presence with the birds and the trees and all that, I just love that because it's quiet. It's almost like there's no pandemic. Because when I go
Hmm.
walking in the morning with the ladies and I'm, and they're quiet or I'm quiet, it's like you would not believe there's still a pandemic because it's that quiet time, the
Hmm.
silence, and you're one with nature. Those are the things that I think people are not appreciating right now because they're so busy. They have to fill everything up. Every hour on their calendar has
Hmm.
to be filled up. And I think we need to take the time. And so, how do we tell people who don't like being alone, don't like being, present? How do we get them to, other than going to your how do we get them to? There was this lady by the name of Susan Powder, and she was a workout lady, and she had this thing
Hmm.
called "Stop the Insanity." How do
Hmm.
we get these people to stop the insanity?
I remember Susan Powder. My
Mm-hmm,
sister was a big fan.
mm-hmm,
Um, we don't. That's the simple answer. The Buddha once he became enlightened, he was trying to decide, how do I teach this to anybody? And one of the things he realized when he first tried to teach to some people was that not everybody's in a place where they can hear it. He said he can only teach the people who just had a little bit of dust on their eyes. And I think that's true, that a lot of people in the world just have to recognize they're not in a place where they can hear this or where they can do this sort of thing. And you kind of, you love them for where they are and do what little you can for them. And the people that you want to engage are the people who are seeking and not finding. You want to create for yourself, you want to be out there and offer. I'm a signpost and you're walking along. I want you to see me. I want to be out there so you can see me and say, oh, that's what I need. And then you can come in and then I can teach you. But you
wow.
can't grab people in.
What has meditation done for you spiritually, mentally, and
Oh,
emotionally? And
oh.
emotionally?
Well, as I said, I'm on day 751 or two of sitting. So there was a time, I remember when I was doing my radio show, that I felt that I was having difficulty remembering what it was like when I didn't meditate. And I started thinking about it like, well, what is it like for people who don't meditate? I really couldn't relate to that. So I actually stopped meditating for 3 weeks and I went crazy. I mean, there's a whole lot of crazy in there.
Mhm.
So, what it's done for me, goodness, it's given me wisdom, it's given me patience, it's given me healing, um, it's given me the ability to deal with all of the things that challenge me. I get challenges every day, every moment of the day, there are challenges. And I can take them now with patience and I don't lose my balance. When you're rigid and you're standing really tight, it's very easy to get thrown off by anything that comes along. When you're relaxed and you're flexible, it takes a lot to throw you off your balance. So,
And for me, because I was impatient, like I like to be on time. And whenever I'm not on time, if there's traffic and I like to leave early, I would get so, "Urgh." So when I started to meditate, I started to see something that, Jackie, if you're running late, there's a reason why you're running late. So when I get to my location, the person's not there or they canceled and they forget to call me about it. So I started to what will be will be. Let go, let it flow, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't rush anymore. I'm like, it says I'll be here at 9 o'clock, but I'm one of those people where if it's a 9 o'clock meeting, I don't need to be there at 9 o'clock. I need to be there like at 8:54. But whenever I
Mm-hmm.
run late, I notice there's something that maybe prevented me from having an accident. And I see it and I said, hey, if I was driving around this time, I could have gotten into that accident. So I'm letting what I'm doing now is I'm not rushing for anything. I'm letting the universe tell me what it wants me to do. That's what I'm doing right now, letting it tell me what to do. And for some people who are Christian based and quite don't understand it, like, well, wait a minute, what do you mean? And if this is just what works for me, and it's all about peace. The Bible talks about peace. Every one of the holy books talks about peace, from the
Mm-hmm.
Quran to the Buddhist religion, or everything talks about peace.
Sure.
So I'm just looking to have, I tell people, I I'm a sane woman living in an insane world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I am
Mm-hmm.
just looking for peace. Anything that disturbs my peace, I want no parts of. I don't care if it's mother,
Right.
father, sister, brother, uncle, aunt. If you're disturbing my peace, I can't be with you, because I don't have the time or the energy to sit down with you, and have that conversation. That's how I look at it now. And I want all women and men to understand. Start meditating, or just having some quiet time. Silence is good. Study to be quiet. I'm on a praying line, and every day I get that verse, study to be quiet. I didn't understand it first, because I'm like, what do you mean study to be quiet? Am I talking too much? What's going on? But then I had to go back to the Bible because it was my ego. It was my ego. And then I
Right.
realized what it meant. And the more that I'm quiet, the more that things are coming to me, whether it's opportunities, and then I see things clearer. I'm removing the ego. I still have a little piece of that ego sometimes, and coming from Brooklyn now, but I
A
am,
Brooklyn-sized ego.
oh my God. But I am just taking that time to,
Yes.
like, I'm here now. I'm enjoying it. I just love what you're doing. I love this peaceful Zen thing that you have. It's
Mm-hmm.
just so quieting and peaceful. And my mind is not racing, like, okay, what I got to do tomorrow. Da, 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 da. Not doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
even when I go to the gym, I like going to the gym by myself, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, because there's hardly anyone there, and I can work out. I'm focused and just talking to myself. I don't need to have the radio on anymore. Hello, Mrs. Matthews. I don't need to do that. So, it's just
Mm-hmm.
been a pleasure speaking to you. And, let me put again, on Wednesday. What time on Wednesday?
It's at 2 o'clock Eastern time.
2 o'clock. Is it going to be on? Will it be taped? So if people need to go back,
It will
they
be
will.
on YouTube. There will be a recording available afterwards.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So I need to add you to my list for meditation. So
Yes.
because I need as much, like I said, I do guided meditation. I'm into sound therapy. I'm into some funky things that I love. I'm into the
Mm-hmm.
qigong. I'm getting into all of that. Zena mentioned self-love. So in order to do what we need to do, someone says the title of this video. What Miss Matthews, what's wrong with the title of the video? Not that it's wrong, but what's going, let me know. But meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha.
Meet the Buddha, kill the Buddha. Yeah, people are often curious about that title,
Yeah,
what that
talk about
means.
that.
Sure. Well, the book is Meet the Buddha, Kill the Buddha. It goes with a course that's available also on our website. And it was actually very funny. I was meditating one time and I got that title in my head very clearly. And I said, okay, that's the title of the book. And it's very funny because as I then later met, I have friends who are monks in Vietnam, and they were, yeah, that's a saying here. I didn't know that. But basically, what it means is that the Buddha or any religion is there, it should act as a runway. So if you're like a plane that wants to take off, you get on your religion and it eases your journey down the runway. But at the end, you have to take off. And when you take off, you're leaving the religion behind. So that's the idea of meet the Buddha, learn all about the Buddha, get all that you can out of the religion and what it is that you need. But in the end, it's you. You take off. It's not the Buddha doing it for you. It's not Christ doing it for you. It's not Allah doing it for you. It is you. Thank the religion. The Buddha had a saying about somebody using a raft to cross a stream. You make the raft, you make the boat, you get across the stream. It would be foolish once you cross the stream to stick the raft on your back and keep walking with it, leave this extra burden that you don't need. In the same respect, you take on religion, religion brings you to the other side, and once you're there, you're very grateful, thank you, but you move on. So that's why meet the Buddha and then kill the Buddha.
And I think one of the best things that we can do every single day is gratitude. You know,
Mm.
I'm happy every morning. When I'm on the prayer line, I always say we should be grateful that we woke up in the land of the living, that we're alive, because I have this thing where I say we're covered and smothered by God's love. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, every morning I wake up, I practice gratitude. I don't have a
Mm.
religion, I have a relationship. So for me,
Mm.
I don't like religions because for me, I don't like it because of all the other things that comes with it. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's just relationship. I love all people. If you're good to me, I'm good to you. And if you're not, I just keep it. I'll pray for you and I'll keep it moving. But I try to practice gratitude every day, just the smallest things, not just the big things like, oh my God, the birds, the grass. When I hear people complaining about the rain, I'm like, wait a minute, the grass needs watering. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?
Oh, and the sound of rain.
Yes.
Oh, it's one of the best sounds ever.
I love that. And because I have something
Yeah.
in my bedroom that it has the thunder, the rain, the
Mm.
frogs, puts me to sleep, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I tell people, when things happen, it's for a reason. So you're complaining about the rain, but the rain serves purpose. It feeds the grass, the worms come up, the birds get to eat the worms. So, in other words, I'm trying to show people to shift their mindset and their perspective on how they're looking at things. That's what I want people to do because you can't look, I don't look at the glass as half empty or half full. I just say, give me the damn pitcher of water and I'll pour it myself. I'm not going to let you control it. I'll control it.
Sure.
So that's what I'm looking to do. But it's just been, go ahead. You were going to say something?
No, yeah, it's just that you're saying gratitude is very funny. I recently rediscovered an old song that I had co-written back when I lived in Nashville, and I wrote it for First Church Unity. Um, it's part of their hymnal, and it's called. The name of the song is "I've Got an Attitude of Gratitude."
Oh, I like that. I have an attitude. I like because I go to two. Well, they don't consider them a church. They consider themselves like a place of worship. Unity North. It's part of the Unity, and I love it
Uh-huh.
because they're different because they'll allow. And I use the word allow. They'll have a rabbi come in. They'll have
Hmm.
someone who's practiced Muslim come in. We
Sure.
meditate. What I love about it, we meditate while church is going and before it ends we practice silent meditation.
Yeah.
So I just love opening and looking at new and different things. And I encourage everyone, try something new. If you're doing something and it's not working, we all know the definition of insanity, but let's try. You feed your body, and I hope you're feeding your body good things. And I just want to remind people I have a plant-based show that I do on Sundays, and it was on yesterday. So go to the YouTube channel, the Women Are Worthy Network, and take a look at it. But I want people to, when you're feeding yourself, just make sure now you need to feed your soul. And by feeding your soul is meditation, practicing gratitude, being nice to people. I don't know, not nice, being kind to people.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
See,
Yes.
I told you, you taught me. You're teaching me some things. You're teaching me some things. So this has been
Yay.
a wonderful, wonderful conversation. And my poor husband's probably going to kick me out of the bed because I'm going to be snoring like crazy, like a lullaby cat tonight, And I want to thank you.
Yay.
First of all, let me give you your flowers because we need to do that while people are here. Thank you for doing what you're doing. You left you unplugged out of the matrix yourself and said, no, I'm not
Mhm.
going to do this. I want to do something that's fulfilling for me, fulfilling for my family, and where I can teach other people
Yeah.
to help themselves and to help mankind and humanity. Can you imagine, like, if Putin was freaking meditating? Can you
I
imagine?
wish. I
Can you
wish.
imagine?
Yeah.
and all the other people, if they could just do the same thing. So, who knows? But again, I want to thank you, Marshall, for coming on the show, on our
My
platform,
pleasure.
and discussing this. And we're definitely going to bring you on back again. And I also wish you a wonderful, because you're going to be traveling. So I wish
Hmm.
you a wonderful travel and a safe
Thank
travel,
you.
so you can come
Thank you.
back and we can, later on have another conversation with you. We can talk about the book and other things that you're doing. So, everyone, we
Yes.
want to thank you for tuning into the Women Are Worthy platform. Please make sure you subscribe, you like our page, you share our page. I created this platform because I got so sick of negativity. Talking to the kids, they're telling me who they're. I got irked by this because when I would talk to the kids and ask who were their mentors, it would be celebrities. It was no one in their community, no
Mm.
no one in the household. So I created this platform because I want people to see that there's positive spaces. It's almost like back in the day growing up where you had human interest story in the newspaper. We don't have that anymore. So I consider this human interest. Okay, so it's all about positivity. We do a lot of positive things, whether it's eating well and fellowshipping. That's really what this is all about, fellowshipping. So I want everyone to have, it's Mindful Monday. Tomorrow you're going to have a terrific Tuesday. And if no one has told you, I love y'all. So bye, everyone. Have a great day. Namaste.